Yes, here we go. It is the T.N.F. The night we hand over the keys to use. And it is always the company of the judge, who I owe a big thank you to, because he brought back the Monday Club on Monday, funnily enough. Just been, I think, nearly 3,000 views, Mark. So well done there, mate. And great job hosting. I thoroughly enjoyed the show. I caught it on the way out the old squash court. So it was brilliant, mate. Well done. And thanks again for doing it.
Well, misery loves company, mate. So that's the 3,000 punishment.
Yeah.
It was good. I quite enjoyed having a wee chat with Pam and Mick. You know what I mean? I think the threes kind of batted off pretty well. But my pleasure, mate. It was good to vent the kind of wee bit of hostility I had for a couple of years. But I'm over it now. But at the time, I was pretty incredulous, to be honest.
Oh, you were, mate. Oh, no, you were. The group chat knew about it on the old Sunday night. Definitely. That saying, though, will always remind me of you. Misery loves company. I've heard it a few times since now, Ted. I always think of you now every single time. It's a classic. Oh, I don't know. It was you. I thought you'd made it up.
No, I thought you'd made it up. Is that quite bright? That's I can move the camera.
No, you're fine, mate. We can still see you. We can still see you. Don't worry about aesthetics, mate. Don't worry about that shit. It's not even you worries about that. 17 filters on in that. I've got a big Tommy Tomato face because I was saying to you off air, I've been into the squash all week this week, and then I go for a sauna in a steam room after, and you just come out all red and blotchy. So apologies if anyone thinks I look a bit sunburnt, but I've not been sunbathing or that, as you could probably tell. Anyway, we'll do all that good stuff. We'll get stuck right in. Remember, get your points and use the hashtag TNF. Also, remember, if you've not hit the subscribe button, why the fuck not? Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. And you never miss a bus episode either. We are on course for 7 days in a row of buses pulling in. And do you know what? Because I'm off the bev and it's dry January, I might even throw in a midday Sunday blether this week as well, Judge. How about that? So I'll be 8 days. Old school, mate. Going old school. And then, if you pick it back up the Monday again, and then we've got the Tuesday ticket, before you know it, mate, we're on to 9-10 shows in a row. So we're doing our best here for a bunch of half-wits who don't have a clue about technology. I think between us, we're lucky if we can remember our password. That's a bit as far as...
Thank God for Apple, that's all I can say.
Big Phil's doing his bit, though. He does all the graphics, as you know, and sets up all the shows, and he's absolutely fantastic at it and a lot better than me doing it. Remember as well, if you want to head over to piesports.com, it is the code BUS1888, and you get a tasty pastry treat with a 12.5% discount. Also, if you want to become a Boise Bus member, like so many have, it is $1.99 a month. But remember, it doesn't get you any extra content. It's just to help keep the wheels on the road. We much appreciate it. But as I say, there's no pressure to do that. But loads of you have, such as Ali, Jim Dolan, Theresa Lyle Media, P. McLaughlin. I'm forgetting if he's Phil McLaughlin. Is it Phil McLaughlin? Paul McLaughlin? P. McLaughlin will go with the new. Ali again, why no? Alex Forsyth. And that's the roundup at that. Anyway, get your points in, and we will be discussing them in the second half of the show. Obviously, Mark, Celtic were playing last night. And it did come with, obviously, touching on your Monday show, it came with an undercurrent of an unnecessary drama, I want to call it. And I think it was an unnecessary drama. I think it was one that was, to be perfectly honest, and you know I'm one of Brendan's biggest defenders, but for me, it was an unnecessary sideshow that I don't really, still can't get to grips with in my head what the motivation was. I would speculate that he's upset at the criticism the team took for what was an awful performance, but that's just the way it's going to go. And he wanted an excuse to bite back, and he kind of landed upon bizarre things like groans and all that about back passes. I mean, he has every right to defend the team after a record-breaking year and say, you know, trust the process. Like the process is proven. Over the last year, we lost 2 games out of 50. One to Dortmund, one away at Hearts. We had dubious referee. That was when he got pulled over by the SFA and all that for that. And I get that point. And if that's what's hooked him, going one slip up, one bad day at the office, and you're overcritical, then just say that. I think the way he turned it into stupid things and then jumped on the Greg Taylor one as well, just to double down on it all. I was a bit mystified by it all. I think his next press conference, he spoke with a far calmer demeanour. Now, I'm no body language expert, but if you look at the first presser on the Sunday, he came in with his eyes sort of burning. Yeah. He had that presence about it. He was waiting. You could have asked him, as I said to Terry last night, what the price of cheese is these days, and he would have given that answer about the fans. He had it loaded ready to go. He calmed down his demeanour a bit, gave some bizarre Swansea comparison, which I'm still trying to work out. I mean, Swansea Football Club are no comparison to Celtic, don't have the demands of Celtic, and therefore have a more easily appeased fan base because they don't demand success the way we do. But I thought he dealt with it pretty well. And I'd like to think, Mark, now you were at the game, wrapped up in your full kit. And,
Of course, full dinner.
But I did think the way the Green Brigade dealt with it, for a change, which, to be honest, I mean, I'm not a fan nor a non-fan of the Green Brigade, but I'm nonplussed on it. I think it brings a lot of good things, and then it can bring other things that annoy me. That's just life. But I think with that, rather than it being a statement o'clock from them, or rather than it being a controversial banner that was going to be a photograph that lasted the rest of the campaign and sort of flickered up every now and then, instead we got, which I always think is the best retort, and that was pure comedy. And that was by going through the songbook of so many yesteryear Celtic players. I thought that was a fantastic way just to, and I think for me, when Brendan said, you know, at the end, you know, only the kit man didn't get a song, I thought, well, I don't think you did either, Brendan. But by the by, I think by Brendan acknowledging that with a sort of twinkle in his eye again and a bit of a joke, for me, Mark, that's case closed. We move on. It was a strange couple of events. It's not going to derail Celtic season. It's not going to define Celtic season. And I think it's came to quite a satisfactory end for me with the comedy and maybe even a more light-hearted Brendan Rodgers after the match, you know, in reaction to that.
I thought it was perfect. You know what I mean? The Green Brigade, in fact, the full stadium, but the Green Brigade in particular, for the off, set their stall to kind of diffuse this by kind of like going overboard. I think if they'd just sung one song or repeated the Kieran Tierney song, it would have probably been a wee bit petty and, you know, try to keep it going. But they diffused it straight away by singing all of these songs. It became funny when you're at the stadium, and I think Rodgers took it the right way. And I said pre-match on the group chat that best for me would just be to make this a joke. I mean, just it's the best way to put it behind is just, as you said yesterday, when post-match is the best retort would be to try and make fun of it and to make it funny, you know what I mean? And it's diffused the full situation. Because I think it was a situation that had to be diffused, there's no doubt about it. I think there was rumblings within certain sections of the fan base, me too, about, you know, where's he gone with this? Why is he choosing to hit out the fans? I agree with you, there must have been some sort of, you know, kind of antecedent. There must have been a reason for him to come into that press conference and kick after what he did. This hasn't happened during 90 minutes. It's been something that's been rumbling in his body for a long time. And as I said as well, you know, I don't mind him having opinions like that. But sometimes when you're at your work, you've got to keep your opinions to yourself, boys. And I felt like he came out the wrong way. And defending your players, I'm all for it, especially, you know, I do think if he was going to come out and be angry the last 2 weeks, he could have come out and been really angry at the fact that in his tenure, it's maybe been about the 4th or 5th employee of Celtic that's been attacked at Ibrox. That's our rather come out like that, because forget the Joe Hart stuff under Ange. We had a physio and John Kennedy struck with stuff last season at Ibrox. He's the stuff flung him in the dugout as well. We've had Matt O'Reilly been hit with coins when he scored last season, a penalty kick. And we had probably the closest one to a bad injury yesterday. Not to mention David Turnbull getting hit with a Bovril Cup maybe a season or two ago. So all these things, I'd rather come out swinging with that rather than come out swinging at the Celtic fan base. But it's put behind us now. I think it was diffused perfectly by, I think the Green Brigade set it up by singing so many stupid songs that you could only take it the right way. So hats off to the Green Brigade for making it a full of it and moving on, and Green Brigade, and so obviously Ange for taking it the right way. And to be quite honest with you, you can criticise Rodgers' words as much as you like, and I will criticise him too. But there was a concerted effort in the first half last night where the fan base were really pushing the team on when they were playing good football. They were applauding it. The players were reacting to the crowd a bit better. And there was one stage, I think it was Trusty was he was almost about to play the ball backwards and spun a sixpence and went other way. I thought that's no an accident. Came through the words of the manager and through the positive feedback for the fan base, and that's a good thing for me moving forward.
So see on that, this is what I was trying to say with Terry last night. I mean, do you think there's actually been sometimes it's good to have a domestic mate, and it just gets everything out in the open, clears the air, and you move on, and you might be a stronger unit for it in some cases. Not in mine, that's why I love mine, but you might be a stronger unit for it. And I look at the example you give. There's a fine one, and I just think Celtic's whole demeanour last night was so much more proactive, so much more forward thinking, so much more energetic. Either Brendan's took it on board, whether he's raging or not, and made them play like that, or the players. The only outcome was a more aggressive and more attack-minded version of Celtic. So there has been goodness came out of this tiff, if you want to call it that. And I think that's where you've got to look at it and go, we've ended it in a nice way with comedy, lightheartedness from both camps. I think that'd be fair to say. Jokes on both sides, we move on. But in between all that, was a Celtic team that I know, ironically, only won 2-0 last night, which is the lowest margin we've won the run of 4 home games out of the last 5 fixtures. However, notwithstanding that, the attitude and the sort of purpose Celtic played with last night, I did feel there was a contrast to what we'd seen, particularly in the first halves of the other 3 home games. So there's been goodness came of it as well. Do you know what I mean? If that's now on their conscience, don't just take the easy back pass, because it's now been highlighted, it's now flagged. The manager doesn't like it getting flagged, but there's 60,000 who've made it clear they don't like it. And the fans, the players want to keep the fans on side as well. And if that means you've got players, as you say, spinning a sixpence to go, actually, that pass was too straightforward. What else can we do? What other forward thinking move can I do here? And takes another look at it and does swivel and starts going the right direction. I know that's a microscopic example, but it makes sense that maybe this debate had to be had. And maybe there was going to be a few tears shed, or whatever you want to describe it as, a few, plates smashed, whatever you want to call it, for us all actually to come to a resolution that, do you know what? The slump in form people were talking about may have seemed entitledness to a point when you looked at the results. But then it was compounded, of course, when we thought the play was slowing down with the Ibrox performance, which was lethargic, to say the least, amongst many other things. And what we've got out of it was a completely different looking or different vibe I felt to Celtic last night. Albeit the scoreline doesn't reflect that, I do still feel that if that's shifted change in attitudes, Mark, that's got to be a good thing. What's your thoughts on that before we move on?
No, I totally agree. In fact, there was points when I was watching the players last night and I thought, they've taken a reaction to this, you know what I mean? Negatively or positively within themselves. I felt like the players had reacted to the comments, you know what I mean? There's at least an acknowledgement that this wasn't getting, this wasn't palatable for the Celtic support. I mean, when Celtic are playing football, especially at home, we already the size of that pitch, that we should be moving the ball a lot faster. And I thought the message was definitely clear to be seen by the Celtic support last night, that there was an effort to change how the team looked on the park. And whether that's been the players getting together in the dressing room and just going, we don't need this, we don't want this, we're better than this, these conversations popping up, or whether it's been Rodgers saying, look, it's time to refocus here because the fans are on our back. Let's show the fans how we can play, and let's show the rest of Scottish football we don't react negatively to certain sections of our fans being impatient. Either way, the Celtic, I think, looked a better team for it last night, boys, and it was almost like, I know Dundee United were there with their knickers off ready to be taken, but Celtic were sitting 30, 40 yards up the park. I mean, Trusty and Carter Vickers were getting the ball 10 yards away from the halfway line. They're normally receiving the ball 18 yards out, and they're doing that. I didn't call it a horseshoe. I just call it, it's just a straight line at times, you know what I mean? With the odd attempted pass on the angle to Arthur Johnson. We didn't see that last night, and I don't. It's a bit of a fallacy to suggest that the Celtic support want or need to be up 4-0 at half time for the fans to be happy. I've seen the Celtic team being standing ovation at 1-0 at half time. And I've also
let's use the example, Mark, to stop you in your stride, mate. But see, last night, for example, did you feel like at halftime you felt more positive at that 1-0, considering we've had 1-0s in 2 of the other home fixtures as well? At halftime, did you feel more positive vibes last night than you had the other ones?
I think even if it was 0-0 at halftime, the general play and the tempo. The tempo was what I noticed straight away. That was the words that was used when I booked me last night. Was the tempo was a lot better. And see, when the tempo was a lot better, the fans reacted better. Boy, saying even like if it was 0-0, I think half time last night there was still been a positive, trudge off the park for the players. And as I say, I've seen us go off the park 2-3-0 at Celtic Park, and there kind of been like a theatre sort of clap. Like, okay, right, go and use that and get warmed up. We'll go and get our pies. It didn't feel like that at all last night. I felt the Celtic support, we bit galvanised by. If there's one supporting Scottish football that likes to show the other side of them when the media's on their back and there's stories being written left, right, and centre, it's the Celtic fans, because we know in this country that the media, the gutter press, are always out to get it. So if it's a supporting Scottish football, it's the Celtic fans that like to prove that we're not letting anybody get to us. And I felt last night the players, the manager, and the crowd were, kind of putting one hand up and saying, look, enough's enough, you know what I mean? We're together, and it doesn't take negative press for Keith Jackson or stupid words on Clyde Wan to get us derail our season. I mean, we're 16 points clear, 13 points clear going into last night's game. There should be no reason whatsoever there should be no reason whatsoever for Celtic or the fan base or the media to clutch at any straws or anything negative about us. But it was created because of an off the cuff comments that should have been kept in house. He should have calmed himself down, but he didn't do it. But within 3 or 4 days, it's been put to bed, boys, and the full narrative has been changed again. And I think last night it just all came together that, all right, it was 2-0, and don't get me wrong, there was points in the second half that they get back in it. But it was 2-0 with Celtic, and I didn't feel at any point that the team didn't have another gear to go up. Whereas in the last maybe couple of months, I felt that when's this going to switch back on again? And even with some key players out last night, I don't think Celtic looked leggy at all. I thought we looked pretty fit and clever on the ball, and the movement was pretty good. And Diaz and Maeda looked a lot better last night. Engels got a good game, and all of that stems for maybe the last week of negative press. The Huns beating us 3-0, and Celtic have maybe got a second wind here. And hopefully, I said to my brother last night, form is not something you just switch on and off, boys. Form can't be manufactured. Form has to be made, running over time, and it has to be built up. And Celtic had any form, like, in terms of, like, I don't mean winning games, but I'm talking about form, boys. So you know what I mean by that. They've not been hitting their strides, and hopefully last night was just the beginning of that, because we've got a game every 2-3 days for the next month or so. But we've also got the Champions League coming up, and we've also got games that we need to be on the ball from start to finish. And hopefully this is the beginning of Celtic's kind of regrouping and just kicking it into the next gear, because I think last night could have been a 5-6-0 job, but we won the game, and that's what matters, I suppose.
Well, it is all that matters. You're absolutely right. JM comes in with an interesting one here, and good to have you on the bus as always, JM. And I hope you enjoy your half-price Indian pizza that you were mentioning in the previous comment.
That sounds good.
Oh, I love a pizza for the Indian, man. Pizza for Indian, I love
doner kebab pizza. Oh my god.
Aye.
Oh mate, aye. No, it's good. The pizza, haggis on a pizza's lovely.
Haggis works on a pizza, definitely.
I
like a pizza for the Indian, man. I do like it.
Nobody does Italian pizza better than Indians.
It must be an insult to them, eh? They must be an insult. They must be like, you fucking come in my restaurant ordering pizza, you bunch of bastards. You know what I mean?
I read something recently about Domino's pizzas, and like, it doesn't even taste like pizza. And I got one recently.
No.
It does, and it's put me off from them. I'm raising the red day words, but if you want a good Italian pizza, go to an Indian's.
Aye, definitely. Words of wisdom as always. What is it? What sort of the sayings you could say? Knowledge is knowing that pizza comes from Italy. Wisdom is knowing that the best pizzas are in the Indian.
Oh, they've been raging, ma'am. If you've got any viewers in Italy, I'd even apologise. Indian pizzas are better than yours. You're shite. But my brother went to where is it? La Fe again? Where is it?
Naples.
And my brother said they were shite. He said I was so disappointed.
Really?
My brother Ryan, he's like, they're fucking shite. He's
I know,
like,
but if he's anything like you, I could imagine him being quite a harsh critic of many things, Judge.
Exactly, mate. Exactly, man. You know me, mate. But Indies, if you can't get a doner pizza, get a haggis pizza. That's my words of wisdom.
No, I don't mind that at all. JM comes in anyway. Back to the point that you made about half an hour ago, JM. Seeing as last year, Brendan seemed timid at the start of the season, almost diluted. I described him as Brendan light, JM, so I'm fully on board with that. And I think it is fair that particularly the first half of last season, he certainly was. I've got to bring that up before we go back to JM. I still enjoy them deep fried 2-piece. You're right. So do I, mate. I like it deep. Don't like it in batter.
It almost goes like a sort of aniseedy flavour. I don't know what it is, but it just goes mental, doesn't it? It's really nice.
No, I like it. I like it. Without the, I don't like getting a crunch though. I think the batter's too much. I can only eat like 3 mouthfuls. I'm full.
Bloody Blow Lagoon. See after the Aberdeen game, we beat them 6-0. I ended up getting a train back to the town. Don't know why, but I could just get a train here. But anyway, and me and my brother went in and I was pretty mad, but I said, "Geez, a half fried pizza and chips and curry for it." And they fucking gave me a pizza crunch right after the range. Stone cold. So don't go to Blow Lagoon. It's shite.
There's another one off the list, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, Brendan was definitely the case of the first half of last season. James absolutely right to point that out. But he actually says he liked them coming out with a bit of bite. And I get it. I think it's where he's angled it, James, where maybe he's got it slightly wrong. But I don't mind him, sort of showing off how shiny his Gucci belt is at times and, peacocking a bit. I don't actually mind it either.
Yeah,
I like him to show that he's in a position of authority. I just think where it was aimed is probably where he's just misplaced where he was aiming it. I don't mind him coming out with a wee bit of the swagger either, actually, to be honest with you, and I think it's quite refreshing. So thanks for that comment, mate, because I do think it's worthwhile bringing that one up. Marc, I was looking at the fixtures there when I was nosing at my phone. 22nd of January is Young Boys Bern. It's anything, if it's even been a misplaced rallying cry, if it's having the effect on the team that we're talking about, let's move on to the team. If we see Celtic play similarly again in our next fixture and a fixture after that leading up to the Young Boys Bern game, that can only be a good thing, because the version of Celtic that went to Ibrox won't win that what is a final. For me, I'm not saying like a European final. I just mean in terms of it's a shootout, mate, to get through. For Celtic, they have to beat Young Boys, because going to Villa Park, I'm sorry, I think you've got next to very little chance of getting the desired point there, and I think your confidence will be shattered if you lose to Young Boys Bern anyway. So I think you need to look at it for that aspect also. If you have to get something at Villa Park, it means you got nothing against Young Boys Bern, and that ain't going to happen, in my opinion. So this game has massive effects and ripples on how our season actually pans out. And with that, an eye on that, it is important that we've seen the Celtic sort of looking more creative, albeit with changes in the side that we won't expect to see playing the Young Boys fixture. But it's the squad that takes the momentum. It's a squad game. With one eye over to that, Matt, are you looking for performance levels to continue to improve if we're going to overcome that, absolute crucial European fixture? Because I think what we've seen over Christmas was a very efficient side, a side that can score goals even when they're not completely at the races, a side that knows how to win league titles. I'll tell you that right now, because that is what it looked like, bar the anomaly of the Ibrox game. But the other fixtures, even though they'll know themselves they weren't playing great, you're still getting knocking out 4-0 wins. You're still getting in the second half, wearing opposition down and getting the job done. But it's going to take more than that against the champions of Switzerland, or the runners-up Switzerland, whatever they were. I don't keep up with the Swiss league. But I'm hoping that this rejuvenated sort of style that Celtic showed last night is what we're now going to see in the upcoming fixtures, and hopefully, set us in the best possible stance for going into what is a fixture of massive importance, and also a hell of a lot of jeopardy attached to it as well.
Oh, you're spot on, mate. We've got to see a gradual progression up in the gears and up in the tempo before Young Boys, because I think Boise as I said, I don't think you can just turn it on and off. So I think the importance of that, I agree with you, the 2 games left, you got to put it on the young boys. You get a positive result there, you can go with your a bit of freedom at Villa Park and maybe get a point. But if you don't get a result against young boys, the shoulders drop and you go down there just feeling the worst. So definitely, I think their final is that match, 100%. And in Scotland as well, you're right. I mean, they say that a boxer will always beat a fighter. Celtic, even when they're playing bad, they're still a boxer. You know what I mean? They'll take the swings off of the fighter and just pick them off when they can. And I think the Celtic have shown that dirty side to them, you know what I mean? And Jockstein says it was you put on the work gear sometimes, and sometimes you wear a suit. We'll put on the work gear the last wee while, you know what I mean, and just get the job done. And I don't know where exactly how the form dropped in terms of tempo, and I don't know how it just starts back up again. But I think we just saw. I think we saw the building blocks there last night. You know, I mean, I genuinely did feel that it wasn't like a we've
Totally
seen
agree with you, mate.
we've saw it for 10 minutes, Boise, and we've saw it for 5 minutes, but we've not seen that like a. Don't get me wrong. As I say, there was moments in the second half it got a bit edgy, but see, in general, we smashed that mob last night, and I know it's Dundee United, but Jim Goodwin tends not to have mug teams. You know what I mean? They're well set up, Boise. They're well coached. Sometimes they can be a bit, elbowy and all the rest of it, but they're a good set up team. And Aberdeen aside, his teams have always been quite exciting to watch for his team. So Celtic smashed them last night. The stats you mentioned in last night's show, some 80-odd%, and you don't get that willy-nilly.
Yeah, I was just going to have a wee look.
Aye, and I do feel that the acid test will be if we can reproduce it in Saturday morning in a freezing cold Dingwall, if we can again show the tempo, even without like a Kuhn if he's out. And I think if you start to build up slowly, we can go into the young boys game, because I have genuinely got a bit of trepidation of that game. I'm not going to lie. I think if we were to play it last Wednesday, I think we might have dropped points in it, boys. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I think everything's rosy, but I think we need to sort out our striking options and wingers options perfectly. It might bring us on to the debate you had last night about Palma. I don't know, but I think there's some areas of the park needing addressed badly. But what we did see last night is there's enough players that are beginning to hit form, like Engels. Maeda looked good last night. I thought Greg Taylor looked pretty decent last night. I know. I thought it's two centre backs played with cigars in their mouth. We're slowly getting back to tempo, boys, and we're slowly getting back to form. And this is what I want to see, because Brendan Rodgers a few times now in his Celtic's career said, this is when Celtic kick into gear. This is when the tinkling happens for Celtic, and you will see us rise. And if we've played the first half of the season and we've done the sulky stuff, and the rest of the season's about playing it out and wearing the work outfits, fine.
I thought you said the soggy stuff there.
No. A few soggy stuff in my life, boys. I can assure you of that. But if we get the sulky, if we saw the sulky stuff already, fine. Because we have been spoilt this season. Some of the football we played between August and up till November was really, really good. You know what I mean? Really, really exciting stuff. If I've saw the best of it so far, fine. But I still expect an upwards of tempo and movement and drive between now and the time we had the trophy day. You know what I mean, boys?
Yes, of course. One just thing before we go into all the comments, we've got loads of comments to get through, Judge, and I know you enjoy that part of the show and the T.N.F, bringing up all the comments and fielding as many questions as we can. So remember, it is hashtag T.N.F. I'll try, if I can squeeze a couple more in, do so in the time that we've got left. But one thing I just want to very, very quickly touch on when I'm looking at the match stats, which I think will impress Brendan the most, we had more tackles than we did shots on goal, and we had 19 shots on goal last night.
Well, that shows
but what does he always say? He says it's about Celtic being aggressive without the ball. That's so crucial. Being aggressive with the ball is one thing, but being aggressive without it. And I think when you see 21 tackles made by Celtic, yet we had 75.9% possession, that tells you how quick we're winning that fucking thing back, mate. That does, as you say, shows desire. Anyway, I just wanted to quickly touch on that, because I think that was a worthwhile stat to sort of highlight, because I think if I'd offered you, which I didn't want to do, did we have more shots or tackles in the game? I think we would all have said more shots. Do you know what I mean? Because I didn't feel like we'd made that many. So I'm really impressed with that. That's definitely part of the manager's ideology. Judging by many of the times he's sort of quoted that sort of thing. Right, let's get stuck in to the comments. Teresa Lyle came in first, so we will go to you. T.N.F, what's your thoughts on the so-called error post about Kyogo? So I don't know if you've seen anything about this. It was apparently part of the MLS roster. He was put up in error. Now, I mean, for me, I think the MLS is becoming a bit of a hunter at Celtic. I think that's Giakoumakis and Lee Labada who both went there for big fees in terms of MLS fees, because it's usually they just shell out the wages for former greats or still greats, but you know what I mean, like past their best greats. And then sort of it's a lot of more youth academy players that they kind of marry in there. And if you sort of, to be honest with you, journeyman from England, you know, I think Bradley Wright Phillips was their top scorer in the MLS about 3 seasons in a row, and I don't think he'd ever even played a Premier League football match in England. But when you look at the evidences, they brought in Giakoumakis for, what was it, 6 million? 5 million?
Roughly about that, I was about 5.
But 5, wasn't it? I think we were disappointed, wasn't it? I'm probably exaggerating it. I think it was, yeah. Oh, no, in fact, it was only just over 4 million, wasn't it? Because we brought him in for
money back on him.
We brought him in for 2.6, and it was 4 million quid, say, right? But then they sold him for 10. I think it was, or near 10 to, I think it was Chivas in Mexico. And then you've got the example of Labada going there, and I think he went for good money, 8 to 11 million pounds, or 8 million, you know, add-ons taken up to 11. So they're happy to invest in players from Celtic. Kyogo going there as a just turned 30-year-old would tear that league up. And they'll be looking at the merchandising. A Japanese star in his peak of his powers, kind of. Playing in the MLS. I wouldn't be surprised to see that move happen. I know a lot of people say, well, you can't do that in the middle of the Champions League campaign. I'll be honest. If Brendan has someone else lined up that he thinks could come in and be more effective, then I think he'd be open to selling Kyogo. Now, would I be open to selling him? I think every player has a price. What would be missing from his Champions League campaign? Not goals, anyway.
No.
He's not a free scorer in the Champions League. Actually, it's the winger, Maeda, who has 3 goals in 6 games, 1 and 2, if you like, in the Champions League this season. So, I don't know. I think for me, it's an interesting one that error's happened. Where would that error come from? Or is it just a wee bit of mischief making and maybe the error doesn't actually exist? What's your thoughts on Kyogo in the MLS, and particularly this month?
Well, there's actually a quite important timeline, sorry, for this yesterday. There was a post on Atlanta's, I think it was Atlanta's Instagram feed, Twitter feed, and it was like, no, you get these teasers. Anybody who's not sure about social media, you normally get these teasers. If it's a Spanish player, you have like a wee Spanish symbol or something and a wee question mark. Yesterday they posted these wee Japanese buildings and like a wee teaser that somebody was coming to Atlanta that was Japanese, you know what I mean? It turns out it was another player, so another Japanese player, you know what I mean? Later, but yesterday was a frenzy activity about it must be Kyogo. Kyogo's been linked with a move to America since August, and there was a lot of there's a lot of feedback about it, boys, saying it kind of did take off a wee bit for a few years. Maybe it's been some arsehole on the end of that in America, thinking they can just create headlines, because headlines is headlines in football. And Europe doesn't pay attention to the MLS, so any headlines it gets is probably quite good for it. It's probably quite an ego boost for the person who did it. You know what I mean? But I did hear that Celtic have told their usual sources that tonight they've had no approaches after any team for Kyogo this window, 0. So you can kind of put to bed kind of that they've been asked the question and when can they sell. So it's definitely not came from any like real source or real information that's been dished out. Celtic normally can let stuff rumble on, boys, but when Celtic reach out to their sources and say, look, that's shite, then you know it's shite. And
it's got fans asking the question, though, doesn't it? Because it's been posed for by whatever means. It's led to the debate naturally. Then following Marc. Well, would you be game for it or would you not? What's your thoughts?
I'm not going to lie.
And if I say what's your thoughts one more fucking time tonight, I swear to God.
What's my thoughts? So, what's my thoughts? No, okay, that's your buzzword. I'd sell him, boys. This is my perspective on it. Is his best days behind him or in front of him? Probably behind him. Am I thinking more hope than expectation he's going to get form back? I'd probably say it's hope. Am I expecting another 25 goal season at Kyogo? Probably no. And see, based on these three things, boys, I think there's maybe somebody in the corner that can come in and, if not emulate what he did, certainly get close to it. You know what I mean? We're not playing in the best league in the world, and we can surely get a guy to come in who can score 20 goals. I'm more worried about the fact that the position itself, either or Kyogo, there's something just no working at all with it just now. And I actually wouldn't be against what you said last night and what I read. Maybe give Maeda a chance for the middle, see how it works. We've got Kenny coming back. There's Cummins on the bench on the B team, and I think there is options out there that are viable. And Celtic must have, surely at this stage now, with all the shit that's happened to us, there must be a backup in case somebody comes in with 10 million and says, "Geez, Kyogo," and we press the sell button. There must be an option for there. And to my thinking, Celtic have probably got the resources just now to have somebody lined up, boys. And I actually think the team is close to their sell-by date, some of the players. And I think we're getting to the stage now where a bit of freshening up needs done. I think the defence is going to be naturally freshened up by Kieran Tierney. Trusty's a fairly new person. Johnston's hitting his peak at Celtic. He's probably not going to be sold anew. And Carter Vickers, I think he's a lifer. I think he's always going to be a player that excites the Celtic fans. Midfield is always interchanging, but the up top is stagnating just now, boys, and we're getting nothing new for the players we've got. I think if there's an area of the park that needs refreshing, not just for the sake of refreshing, but needs some sort of impotence put into it as a striking position, you know what I mean? And if that means one of your kind of poster boys getting sold, I think Celtic in general, you've got a shelf life. You will have guys like Brown and McGregor who will do their 10 years. You will get that. I just think a lot of players have got a shelf life, boys, and I think Kyogo, as much as he's a fan's favourite, he's a screensaver for a lot of people. He sells a lot of taps and the rest of it. I think maybe his time was up in summertime, if I'm being honest with you. So if an offer comes in that probably makes financial sense and makes sense to the manager, I'd press a button and say thanks very much, mate. And boss, he's on mute. He's talking to
I get what you're
himself.
saying, mate. Sorry, mate. So
It's
I
all
get
right.
what you're saying.
You talked to Doug, are you?
I was actually talking to you. The cat's been on my lap there. I get what you're saying in terms of what the output that you're getting from him now. Is it worth entertaining the conversation if it were brought to you? I think so. I've kind of just felt for the get-go that despite Rodgers kind of insisting on picking him far more often than the guy paid $9 million for, which it does baffle me at times, where I think he does run of games, whilst he's not been, by the way, at the races as such. I've got to be honest and say I think Kyogo's benefited from the benefit of doubt, really, in terms of the amount, some of the selections that he's found himself getting in at the starting 11 mark. You would need to have a ready-made replacement. But when I say that, I do caveat with, please look at what it is that we're losing. And by the way, yes, Kitchengate is going on. There's been a wild accusation, by the way, Marc, a wild accusation.
They try to say it's untidy or something tonight.
James, obviously, it's a mess tonight, James.
Away you go. That's been I bleached that sink tonight and everything. Away you go. I just can't be fucked sitting in there. It's too cold. These patio doors.
Oh, I knew you wouldn't like that. But yeah, I think the focal point up front though we are missing right now. It's not working up front for me. I think Ida is more involved in Kyogo. It's just my opinion when he plays, but I don't think his output's been great. And Warren's team talk comes in. It's brilliant to have you on the bus, Warren. And he had asked this about 20 minutes ago. Is it time for Johnny Kenny to get a chance? Johnny Kenny's been scoring goals in Europe. I'm not saying against any great shakes, but it must be difficult to do it for, is it Shamrock Rovers he's playing for?
Yeah.
I mean, it can't be easy scoring in Europe against anyone for, with all due respect. I wonder if Johnny Kenny is someone that Celtic are going to give. There's no point in signing these guys if they're never going to get a chance, ever, or if they're that miles off it. He couldn't do much more in that loan period he's had there than what he has. If you're going to say score goals in the League Ireland and that's your remit, I doubt it. It would be, let's see how you get on in that Conference League with an unfancied side. Score goals in that and we might pay attention. You've got to be paying attention to anyone who scores goals in Europe, mate. 100%. 100%. It's like when, the UEFA Cup's record scorer of all time, Henrik Larsson, the question was, it's the UEFA Cup though, and you're going, fucking shut up. Anyone who scores goals in European football, playing against unknown opposition or opposition from different leagues, completely different styles, different environments, it's how you start judging players. Johnny Kenny's giving himself a fighting chance, if anything. I wonder if we'll still sign a third striker. I'm not sure. And Johnny Kenny might find himself further out the picture, if I'm honest. But do you think he's got a case to make to be getting chances in games like last night, for example, if he were on the books? 100%. 100%. That was a game that he could have got a run out in or at least half an hour in. For me, he's done enough this season to show that he could have been well worth a roll of the dice in that type of game last night. We'll move on. Smell the Glove comes in. Marc, I'll put it straight to you. T.N.F, do the fans who are still anti-Brendan want Lennon back losing leagues and cups? I mean, I've brought it up now, Smell the Glove. I hadn't really read it properly before I brought it up. It's just because I had the hashtag T.N.F, it kind of got through. I mean, I don't really know what to say to that one, Judge. I'll leave it to you, actually.
Well, I'd rather drag my boys along Jaggy Nettles than have Lennon back, if I'm being totally honest with you. But I don't understand why it's got to be one or t'other, mate. You know what I mean? It's like you can totally criticise a manager's style of play, criticise his words towards the fans. You can criticise him, yet still be totally convinced that he's the right man for the job. It's no one or the other, boys. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. This isn't like an echo chamber where you just, okay, yes, Brendan, no Brendan. He said something that was unpalatable. It was poorly judged and it was really badly timed. And I think he got a bit of backlash. He did it again, and then the thing was put to bed. I think if we just sit there and smile and nod, we end up the Rangers fans who just kind of, take.
Well, exactly. And like we said at the top of the show, it feels like there's been a positive outcome, doesn't it?
Spot on, mate. And see, to be honest with you, I think it's got the fans back together again last night. You could feel a wee bit of buzz again, and the players are still. This is one thing, right? I mean, you don't realise until you see them in the flesh, like in Asda or something. These people are wee boys. Some of these boys are 23, 24, and they're wee boys, right? So they're vulnerable. You know what I mean? But they've took it in their stride, and they seem to have reacted positively. You know what I mean? And good on them for that, because it's easy to go in your shell. But I thought last night, I'm hoping was the first step to getting back into a wee bit of rhythm again with the club, and I genuinely felt that we've maybe, as you said, had that fight with each other, and I've stopped.
The air is clear.
I mean, the air's clear. You know what I mean? We've learned our lesson. We're going to move on. But no, I don't think. As I say, I'd rather have sore boys than Neil Lennon back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that I think that would be a unanimous sort of vibe on that one. Pato, the Atlanta FC thing regarding Kyogo suggests there's wires crossed. The Daily Ranger says it's Atalanta, Italy, that are looking at Engels. Yeah, I've seen that link as well. That wouldn't surprise me. I think the second that Engels moved to Celtic, for Celtic paying £11 million, people talk within football circles. Engels will have been known to many and just probably not ready yet. Then he makes what I think a lot of club chief scouts see as a perfect stepping stone. I hate describing Celtic as that, but they go, let's see how he does at Celtic. See if he does well there's a player you'll get at a decent price in the modern day. A decent price and a right good chance of being able to cut it in the Premier League because he's adapted to British football and all that sort of carry on. So I think there will be a lot of interest, not just from Atalanta, for example. I think there'll be a lot of English Premier League clubs that'll be monitoring Engels' progress. But we're absolutely no rush to see him go out the door whatsoever. Mickey Moynihan, welcome to the bus, mate. And he's saying, is it time to sell Rio and upgrade? I've got a feeling I know what your answer is going to be, Mark.
Well, I sold. I sell him straight away, boys. Say to the lowest bidder. I'm not going to lie. I for all the reasons I said about Kyogo, but times 10. I think if you're being realistic, this season's been poor. Last season was stop-start for injuries. So if you're being totally honest with yourself, his last bit of form was under Ange, and that's a long time ago, boys. You know what I mean? And I think again, I don't see his best form. I don't. Well, it's not the first time I've heard that. It's true though, boys. That, you know what I mean? I think it's like I watched. There's some players you just know that you're not going to get the best of them again. You just know that, boys. So sometimes again, it's like the milk's turned sour, so you need to move on for it. And I just feel like for both parties, I think Hatate's probably got a career somewhere else in him. And I think Celtic are probably at the stage now where they can find somebody a bit better, a bit more cultured. It's like, I know you spoke about it last night.
A bit more interested?
A bit more interested.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Is that controversial? Is that fair?
No. I did genuinely think he was maybe thinking 18 months ago, I've done my 2 seasons or whatever, time for me to move on, and it's just not happened. Maybe there's been offers that's come in, I don't know. And I think there's players at Celtic and that have maybe, they've not made it and they have to move on, or they have made it and they feel like they should move on while the iron's hot. And it's like Palmer last night, for talking sake. I was watching him and I got your point about how he's, and there is a lot of truth to what you're saying about Palmer needing a bit more respect off the fan base and whatever. But I do feel like Palmer is like Ryan Christie and Mickey Johnson have made love and just produced this frustrating football player that everybody wants to murder. And that's what he's like out in the park. I mean, there was one point he was running down by the 18-yard line and he just ran the ball out of play for no reason. And I just looked at the sky and I thought, why me, Jesus? You know what I mean? What have I done to be here to watch this? And I think Palmer's probably got a football career, but again, like Hatate, might not be at Celtic, boys. Do you know what I mean? So some players that maybe just need to move on, and I think Hatate, boys, I think he's maybe 18 months in the Celtic shirt too long. I really do.
It's a bit like he's why have I got such an echo?
Right? I can hear you.
I had a big echo there. I don't know what's happening. One of the things with Hatate as well is I think to myself, it's like going on honeymoon, right? Honeymoon's been brilliant, and then your flight's been cancelled on the way home. You're stuck at the airport for another 3 days.
And
you're realising, no sure I've made the right decision here. And I feel like Kyogo's had that. He's had that loving. It built up to a wedding. He's had the honeymoon period. And he wants to get in his flight.
Maybe, boys, you're at the party and the last dance is finished and the lights have come on and you can't get a taxi. That's what it's like.
Can't get a bird in my case, mate.
Oh, snap, mate. I can't even talk to myself in the mirror. I enjoyed myself. That was great. We've all been there. But Hatate, I think, mate, I do think it's getting to the stage now where I think, like, see, 6 months ago, I think I was maybe in the 10% that thought he was holding the team back. Now it's flipped, boys. See, there's maybe 10% that think he's still got a level to go up at Celtic. You know what I mean? And see when that happens, normally you don't go back away, mate. You're verging on to the stage where folk are just getting annoyed seeing the guy's face.
Yeah. That's fair. Pato comes in to correct his point. He's saying it's Atalanta that are not following Engels, but rather they're tracking Kyogo. Wow, that's what his Italian source is telling Pato. Hey, who might argue with you, mate? We will see. We know you are the man with all the bookies odds that you consistently post in your gamble responsibly. I don't care about gambling. Right, okay, what we got next? Right, okay. Talking about strikers, Charles Smith. Can our strikers find a goal run to take us to a treble and a knockout win in the Champions League? Do you know what? It's due and it'd be welcomed, and it might be that difference maker if we can get Ida showing that form that brilliant form that he showed when he came in, that appetite, that attitude. And to be honest with you, just a few things clicking for him that aren't clicking right now. It would be really, really good to see that in the second half. And that would certainly be a key component if we are going to win a domestic clean sweep and we are going to maybe even surprise everyone, get to the knockouts and then win, say, the round of last, even if it was the round of last 24, Mark, I would see that as serious progress. You know, like the 24 to get down to 16. I think that if you won one of those, I think that would be huge for Celtic. Absolutely huge to make the last 16, having done an 8-game group and a knockout phase to get there. 10 games you'd have navigated in the Champions League level by then. Come on. Forget then about kind draws or any of that bollocks. And by the way, that myth is such a load of shite because you look at some of the teams, yes, are at the bottom of the table. Look at the other teams that we've played right up the top, right up that top end. So it's bullshit to say that. And by the way, the 36 teams that qualify at Champions League level, there is no gimme. Full stop. All right,
I think Kyogo's got a point, boys. Luckily for Celtic, we've got goals throughout the team. You know, we might not have a 6, 7, 8 goal centre back anymore, but we've got wingers that are scoring goals. I mean, roughly 25, 26 between the two of them, and another maybe 15 goal assists. And then you've got Engels coming in with a few goals. McGregor's got 6 or 7. So there's goals for the team, but I do think it's about time the strikers started to chip in. And I do feel a bit like Ida. You're right. It's like he's trying to ice skate and somebody's tied his 2 boots together with the laces. He's just not getting there. You know what I mean? And that's the way I can describe him sometimes. And even last night, I feel like he's trying. And I know when he came off and he up the tunnel again, boys. And I'm not a big fan of that unless there's something happened to him. That's the second time he's did that, and he's annoyed. Fair dues. I mean, he's a Celtic boy and he wanted to do the best, but I just feel that. It's just what I think needs to happen for the boy. He needs to hit one for 30 yards and just needs to bubble in. And he needs to get a few goals like that because I do think if there's a player in your squad that plays on confidence, it's Ida. Like, Maeda is his neck is that brass where he could miss 4 open goals and then try an overhead kick for 40 yards. He doesn't care, mate. That is like,
so true.
That is an elite level of not giving a fuck. You know what I mean? And that is got to be commended. I think Ida, you know, see last night, boys, Maeda scored a cracking goal last night. And seeing the second half, somebody moved the goals 9 feet to the right-hand side and forgot to tell him. Do you see him hitting a shot? He hit a shot like 10 yards out and he faced the goal and just hit it straight. Hit it a bit.
The left foot sweep. He didn't know where the goal was.
I mean, somebody's moved the goals clearly.
He was convinced he put that bottom corner, eh?
See, during the warm-up, they put goals on the right-hand side of the goalpost, and somebody's forgot to tell them that they came away. The ball gets moved, it falls half tight. Start again, remember? They can't stop him. And that's in the same match when he's getting to the byline and scoring good goals. So the guy's just an anomaly, but I do think Ida needs a game. He just needs, see whether it's a hat trick or it's 2 goals. He just needs, I'm back in business game. And I don't think Kyogo, on the flip side, I think Kyogo could come out on Saturday and score a hat trick and then be missing again for 3 months, boys. But I do feel like Ida needs that moment again. His moment last season, I think, was the Hibs game when they get 2 goals. One is a game and potentially almost one is a league. But he needs that. I think Ida needs that again, and it could be Saturday, whatever. But the two of them are just, they're at the party, but they're not buying a drink.
Would Dyson be a good option to play up top? Say we are faced with the prospect of the beginning of February. I think you're taking away too much from what he brings in the wing. The way the team's playing, it's not like we're creating a lot for the central strikers, though, mate. Do you know what I mean? Imagine losing Maeda's impact. He's tracking back.
Oh, well, that is true, mate. Well, that is true, but
can't take that out.
See, Kieran Tierney and Maeda. Kieran Tierney and Scotty Sinclair worked so well because Scotty Sinclair's best football is when they had the ball in front of him, running onto a defender.
Where's the best place for Maeda to have the ball?
Aye. He's the exact
Could be
same.
anywhere.
But
Anywhere.
see Kieran Tierney, he loves getting to the byline. He loves getting to the byline. And you can't have two players that are loving doing that, boys. Do you know what I mean? So maybe there is space for, you know, a Carl McGregor to cut and fill that hole, a Kieran Tierney to bomb down the wing, and a Maeda sitting a wee bit further in the park. Who knows? I mean, but to be honest with you, like, I'm at a stage now where I'm thinking we need something different. And see if that something different is James Forrest and Kuhn, or somebody else, and then Maeda playing through the middle. We're needing something different, boys, because
Kyogo back to wide left.
well, maybe when I think
It'd be nice to see if he can still play football, because I think I've only seen him in the last 2 seasons of about 12 touches. So I don't even know if he's still got the technique or anything. I didn't see him kick the ball anymore. He's so uninvolved.
See if Kyogo's thing is just to look busy, then just go to Home Alone 2 and get the cardboard cutouts that Macaulay Culkin used and just spin them about the fucking pitch, because that'll look busy right enough. We no do anything when the ball hits off the cardboard, but you know what I mean? There's definite. I mean, because I can look busy. I mean, I can put a towel on my shoulder and work and look heavy busy. You know what I mean? So, but I tell you, and you know what I'm saying? Like, as you said, it's like two touch Terry in it. It's like that's what you're getting at from. You know what I mean? And the desire and the will was there with the boy. You can see it. He's still got that hunger. It's just sometimes that it's just not happening for you, mate. You've stayed too long. You know what I mean? And you know, he's just stayed too long, mate. None of your pals are left. You know what I mean? It's just you and you know what? Do you get what I'm trying to say, boys?
No, I get it, mate. I get it. Patrick Kerrigan comes in. Brilliant to have you on the bus, mate. And he said, I have to say, the bus is my favourite Celtic podcast now, and I watch a few. Oh, that means the world, mate. We really appreciate that, man. Top man. Appreciate that, Patrick. And get involved in the chat as often as you like, mate. And you're bound to get the odd comment read out and maybe even rinsed. You never know. It could go either way on the bus. A quick one, Marc. I just want a yes or no on this, because I know we are a wee bit pushed for time. What's happened to Nawrocki? Is he staying or going?
Well, I read in the Polish newspapers. I don't read Polish or newspapers.
Just get it delivered to your door, I
know.
The Daily Polska.
Aye, of course. I've got Polish friends. But anyway, they did say that Legia Warsaw wanted him back in summertime, and the player themselves said no. But if he was still at the picture come January window, that a move back to Poland on loan would be something to consider. So maybe that's something that might be in the pipeline. Rodgers did say there's a few things happening behind the scenes, and I think Celtic are going to start pushing out some dumplings now. You know what I mean? And
so
Rocky might be one of them, boys.
I think with Nawrocki, for me, it's I don't know if he's any good or not. I can only assume that he's not. But I mean, what I'd seen from when he first joined, he looked right tidy in the ball. He looked a unit. I thought if he can defend and he looks like, you know, he's got the techers on the ball, this could be a player here. I mean,
he's done nothing.
He was behind Bielka, mate, and that says it all for me, because I thought he really, no offense, but I thought he was a dumpling.
Oh, he was, mate. He was. I mean, he was. For fuck's sake, man. He's like a monkey trying to play Skeletrix, isn't he? Honestly. And see, with Nawrocki, I can't find a smoking gun. I can't find a smoking gun moment where you go, that's where you would an arse it. You know, you look back at Jens and you go, Jens, a bit clumsy, you gave away that penalty there. And there's always a smoking gun moment for these players, right, boys? But I can't find a smoking gun moment for Nawrocki. Something's happening, he just does not fit in, boys, and I don't know what it is. You know what I mean?
It's a weird one, that, because it was for Celtic terms, I think it was about €5 million, so it's that about 3.9 million pounds.
It was
usually they get the first team, like, and he was Poland under 21 captain, Legia Warsaw, I think he'd captained them a few times.
There's definitely something there, but there's definitely a player there, you know what I mean? And as we always say, is it a football player? We don't know, but you don't get that sort of CV at that young age with having something. So maybe it's personal, maybe he's just a prick. Maybe he's just a prick, boys. You know what I mean? Who knows? But I did read that if he wasn't getting in the team by January, he was thinking about it.
Right, P. McLaughlin comes in. #T.N.F. 1-1 versus Young Boys Berna. 75 minutes. I know you like to talk about this, so I've kind of saved it to the end. Palmer comes on, scores the winner, and we clinch qualification. What do we do with Palmer next then? Would we keep, or would we thank and say cheerio? Well, there's stories saying £2.1 million he's going to La Liga side. I read today that's like, I mean, again, Mark, I don't want to re-emphasise points I made on last night's show too much, but he did more than 15 minutes than I've seen Yang doing 15 games. That is the reality. He puts a beautiful ball in the outside of his boot. He tests the keeper with a wonderful curling shot. This is all in 15 minutes. He also teed up. He tried the shot that got bought and then teed up Hatate, who blazed it just over the bar. But this guy gets involved. I think he's the most overrated player at Celtic I can think of. Am I saying he's a world beater? No. Am I saying he's a better option than Yang? Yes, 100%. And that's the two options right now. But I think Celtic are really keen to get him out the door. I think the way he's been used so sparingly this year, and Yang must be on 6-7 starts now, by the way. Fucking think on that. That's crazy, considering how poor he is. No disrespect to him personally. I shouldn't really need to caveat everything about in the woke world we live in. You kind of feel like you need to say that. I don't want to hurt your feelings or that, but you're getting paid thousands of pounds a week to be shite. Do you know what I mean? But he is. He's nowhere near it. And Palmer, for me, has numbers, a goal contribution every 95 minutes in a Celtic shirt.
I know.
Palmer has. What's your thoughts then? If that were the situ, hypothetically, albeit I think it'd be going in January. But if we were, well, I suppose that game is in January. Maybe he'll go after. But say he's still in the building, mate, and we do bring him on, and he does score that goal against Young Boys to give us a 2-1 win, send us into possibly even the top 16. You never know the way the results could go. How would you feel then? Would you still be open for Celtic to carry on their transfer negotiations that are clearly already underway to get him out the door? Or would you be saying, hold on a minute, we need to keep this guy?
Well, first of all, on Yang, he makes me feel like I wish my dad sat on the couch the night I was conceived, mate, honestly, because he does my nothing. I could have watched Yang for much longer. But see, Palmer, last night, I did hear you say that you heard a wee bit of grumblings or booing on Celtic TV when he came on. I must admit, I sat down. In fact, there was folk leaving the stadium when he came on the Park, boys. And there is a lot of hatred towards the guy. And when he was trying something and it wasn't working out, there was a lot of groaning. Honestly, it's like sometimes people want you to make a mistake so they can moan about it. And I think that there's Celtic fans that if there's going to be a mistake being made, they want it to be Palmer. I'm not a fan of the guy, boys. Far from it. I think it's just you get that confirmation bias. You know what I mean? Where you think something's true, and then everything that makes it seem that way just confirms it. You know what I mean? And I think people have got that with Palmer, I really do. And to be honest with you, boys, I really don't want to see the guy much longer. That's just my personal opinion. But see if he came on and scored a winning goal, that would only mean so much for that one, Momo Salah moment against Basel. It doesn't mean he's going to be a world class, but he's done something. Maybe the guy needs something to kickstart his career. But I did 100% believe that the Celtic fan base, and they'll probably go their own reasons why, but they just cannot stand him, boys. They cannot stand him. And I must admit, when I watch Yang, genuinely, boys, I just the sheer sight of that guy makes my blood boil, and I don't know what it is. And for a lot of folk, Palmer's the same. And I must admit, I'd rather we found something within the B team than give Palmer games. Just my personal opinion. You look at his stats: 95 minutes, he's got a goal contribution. That is quite commendable. You know what I mean? A lot of that was kind of condensed into one period, I believe, and he's been dropped. And I think a lot as well. Like, see the assists, that's kind of new, kind of fad. It's only been for a while now, but I can get a ball to you 35 yards out, boys, and you can put one in the top corner, and I get plaudits for it. And I think it's the same when it comes to like a short free kick or somebody got to the byline and maybe deflecting and get, you know what I mean? I don't know, but I don't think he provides if there's a player at Celtic Park that doesn't grasp his chance, it's Palmer, and it reminds me of Haksabanovic, where the two of them had the same problem. They were making an impact for a short period of time, but on the whole, they didn't give much else in that. And I think his seed's gone. I think, as I say, he's only a young boys. I mean, 22, 23, he's a kid, really. And he's in a big stadium, and he must think these folk hate me. And you know what? That must be hard to play. That must be hard for any person to play under. And maybe
that's true.
all the things coming together, boys, say it's time to go. If he scores a winning goal against Rangers or whatever, great for that moment. But it's only great for that moment if he kicks on. And I just personally couldn't see that happening. And if we get £2.1 million back for him, maybe that's the club even just going like that now. I think
maybe.
So.
Well, I'm in a good mood tonight, Mark, so I've decided to gift out 5 Boise Bus memberships there. They just picked it random, by the way. So, yeah, why not? I thought I'd gift out 5. It's just
Am I a member? Am I a member? If I get one of these memberships?
Yeah, I don't know.
What did I get? Like a key thing or fuck all, no?
No, you were in the customer complaints department too many times, mate. You were paying the ass for the girls in the office, mate. You were just too much.
I asking for the phone numbers and Snapchat codes.
Right, okay, we'll finish up with a wee funny. Michelle did retort, Mark, to your, obviously we were talking about earlier on, you'd rather than Neil Lennon coming back, you would rather have your balls jagged on a bush, something like that.
I'll drag along jagged nails.
You got a wee poem read to you, and it says, Roses are red, Mark's balls are raw, sat on some prickly nettles on his back door's wall.
Oh, that's a good one.
Well done, Michelle.
That's the next Boise Bus t-shirt. That's a good one.
But anyway, that rounds up a really good upbeat T.N.F. And all of those who got a wee Boise Bus membership for a month there, doesn't change anything. It's cool having your wee logo at the side. It means you can use different wee emojis. We've got wee Boise Bus emojis you can use in the chat. So get on that, and yes, enjoy the rest of your evening, whatever the fuck you're up to. Go enjoy yourselves. And Mark, thanks again to you, my man. Take care.
Thank you very much, mate. I enjoyed the night. I enjoyed Monday nights and all. Maybe see how the rest of the gang's doing for time. We might maybe try and do another one Monday. They seem to be doing well. I don't know why you let us talk shit, but anyway.
No, you've been more than welcome to me. You were fantastic. You did brilliant, mate. So you'll be more than welcome to do that if you so wish. Anyway, we'll see you all later. We're out of here. Cheers.